This computer.
Hello, welcome to the Celebrate the Arts brought to you by the Florida Artists Group, also known as FLAG. FLAG is proudly celebrating our 72nd annual exhibition and symposium. My name is Jeffrey Smart Basden, and it's a great pleasure to introduce session number 13, Are You Residency Ready? With Pat Cummings. This presentation is being recorded for later publication and public access. And so we request that you remain muted throughout. Your questions are encouraged, but we also ask you hold them until the question and answer session at the end of the presentation. As a courtesy, please keep your questions succinct and on topic. Now, please welcome Pat Cummings.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to thank you and FLAG and to all the artists joining us this afternoon. I hope my ideas help you and are considered when applying for a residency. You're an artist, and if you'd like to apply for an art residency, I think it should happen for you. There we go. I think the first thing that you need to do is find your focus and research your possibilities. For example, I just typed in artist residencies in Florida and got these results. Now, if you're a sculptor, a painter, a photographer, that might vary and your location might vary, and you might start with your city or your county. There are many international and national residencies available. You have to decide. You might start out and saying, well, where do I want to go? For me, it was a no-brainer because I painted landscapes and I got a studio at Art South in Homestead, Florida, and the national parks approached me when I was there. From 2003 to 2019, 15 national park residencies have been accomplished. I'm amazed, and I have applied, let's say, to Acadia National Park. I had to apply 4 times. So my advice to you is never give up and keep on applying. They'll remember you. And if at first you don't succeed, try again. Here's a list of my residencies. My last one was Crater Lake National Park. Was a real learning curve for me because I was painting in the snow and I had never done that before. So yes, they gave me snowshoes, but my easel and my chair did not have the capacity that the snowshoes did. So I just kind of sank in the snow. It was difficult. Each location is different. Each application was different. Start with what you know best. You need a body of work with a common theme, I would think, for a residency or a proposal to create that. And sometimes it's figured out along the way. For me, it was an evolution like that. I think what you need first is a website, a social media platform, a QR code. You need to create a basic website. For me, I use Squarespace, and they have a template, and it's not that hard to accomplish. I had a little bit of help, but it's not expensive. It cost about $12. You need a domain name. I have both Pat Cummings, Patricia Cummins, and nationalparkpainter.com. So I was fortunate to get all of those. Most likely all of you have an updated resume, a bio, and statement. I would take as many photos as you can to document your history as an artist. And you need to have the skills to maintain that website. So I would pick one that's easy, user-friendly, that you can update. And if you're into residencies, I think you should really enjoy traveling unless you're just going to do something local. So what I do is I ship my supplies ahead. I order canvas and send it to the location. I have a FedEx account. It arrives in boxes that I use to ship my paintings, my finished paintings back. I use Stick-A-Tiv in my oil paint, which makes it dry faster. And the last few days of the residency, I'll work on pastels. Pack light, lots of chargers, all the electronics you need. Plan for accommodation needs way in advance. Research the need for snowshoes, excuse me, or snow tires. I actually had to ask them, you know, I lived up north 45 years ago, and I didn't know if people use chains or snow tires or whatever, but the roads were cleared and up there in Crater Lake, so everything was fine. And the more you get yourself out there, the more you find out about residencies and places that do have opportunities for artists. So here's my website. It's, like I said, a template at Squarespace. My daughter designed my logo. She's a Disney Imagineer, a graphic designer. So I told her I wanted a leaf. So she did that. And I incorporated the leaf in my QR code. And I made this QR code 10 years ago. And I think a lot of people kind of ignored this for a while, but I just had an opening last week at a bank in South Miami, and I used the QR code at the top of my inventory list, and people were actually going over to it. I saw people actually use it. So I think people have grown more accustomed to that. And now technology has allowed, when you take a picture with an iPhone, it will tell you the website immediately, just pops up for you. So, and then I also saw on Facebook, this artist, Frank Gabriel, said that he attaches the QR code to the top of his easel, so people don't even have to bother him while he's painting. What's your website, whatever. So if you get yourself out there, people will notice, and you can leave a trail behind you of your information with a QR code. Consider rejection a positive force when looking at the big picture. Pay attention to those rejection letters. I first started applying for residencies 20 years ago, and I would work on my applications during my, I'm a teacher, I taught for 36 years, and during my winter break I used to do about 10, 15 applications, and I had success with that. I would get one residency annually doing that many. And the people that rejected me remembered me. So if sometimes the jury process is different. There, for the national parks, there's even a National Parks Arts Foundation, and they oversee about 10 national parks. And there is a cost involved with their application. I think their application is up to about $70. So, and they're kind of the more coveted parks, but I did receive one of their residencies. So it's different for every park. Sometimes once a teacher, always a teacher. I know a lot of artists are in education, and it's important to use those skills. So I was out in Big Cypress, and they ended up using an image that I shared with them on their website. So I was out there, there was a group of Girl Scouts that came along, and they were totally interested in my palette, which I thought was really cute. And I explained to them, I showed them how to mix the colors, and they didn't care about the painting, they cared about the palette. So the clue here is don't start with the Grand Canyon, not the most important park first. Build yourself up. When you go to the smaller parks, you have an opportunity to spend some time, some downtime when you're not painting, or you can paint at another park. So when I was visiting those 15 national parks as a resident artist, I went to other places, which was wonderful. And this was one of them, Capulan Volcanic National Monument. And it was high elevation and wasn't used to walking up there. Good thing I had my little tiny easel with me. It was like, it's hard sometimes to breathe when you're not used to it. Florida is a lot flatter. I was able to complete a small pastel in Death Valley, and I ended up using that small pastel and my experience there to do a large painting that was exhibited at the Fusner Museum with the Flag Symposium. Also, it was exhibited virtually at the Florida Art Education Association. It won an award. So sometimes a small sketch, if I'm not doing a residency, this was just a side trip from, I was visiting family and I didn't have my painting supplies with me. So I just brought a small box of pastels and did some work. One needs a studio or some place to make your art. It's kind of basic. I'm sure everybody has their own place, but an artist community is always a great start for you. If you get yourself out there, sometimes people will come to you, and that's what started me with the national parks. A ranger came to my studio and asked me to paint the plants of Biscayne National Park. It's a park that's 95% water, and he liked my landscapes, and he says, the plants of the park are very forgotten. Would you like to have a show and be our, they don't have a residency program at Biscayne, but my studio was about 10 miles from their visitor center. So, and that's what I chose, Art South, because it was right by Everglades and Biscayne, and I'm a plein air painter, so I like to go out and paint. Now, I was there for 13 years, so it closed. So, and my children left, so I use their bedrooms now as my studio space. They're side by side. Studio on the right is more storage. I used to have my pastels, now I moved them back into the space. And I have now, where that big orchid painting is on the left, there's a hurricane impact door I had replaced. I used to have French doors and a nice deck out there, so I can paint outdoors when the weather's nice. You need your materials, obviously, and I've tried different easels. I know you're not all painters, but I just briefly might mention that the Soltec Easel is a wonderful easel, and it's 5 pounds lighter than a Julian easel, which is very sturdy, but very heavy. And this one fits in a backpack. So my Soltec Easel is my buddy. You are a professional and you need professional materials and a place to keep them. So sometimes we make do. This is just a tool chest that I converted into my pastel area. And on the top is a Howman box. I have a smaller one. It folds and it fits on a tripod. This one is really heavy. I don't bring it plein air. One needs to focus on their passion, pursue educational, monetary, and personal goals to achieve that passion. So for me, being a teacher, I always had to recertify. I had to take more classes. So I always made sure they were study abroad programs, which was a wonderful way to do it. You need to explore your passion from a new perspective, look at things a different way. So I like to paint water, so I got on the water. One way to get started is to find out what your former art professors are doing. Our Region 1 flag chairperson is Professor David Chang, and I studied with him first in 1999 at Fairchild Garden, and he really got me excited about painting outdoors and painting landscapes. So I owe him a lot. I've traveled with him to China and to France a couple of times, and he's a wonderful painter and a wonderful teacher and a great mentor. And I'd like to thank him for helping with the flag and telling me about it. So after I started getting a lot of paintings together, they were put on applications and also put into exhibitions at local museums like the Coral Gables Museum and at visitor centers in the local national parks. And when that's on your resume, they're more likely to take you as a resident artist because that they see that you are interested in the parks and that you're exhibiting at them. Presently at FIU, their Alumni Association has sponsored an exhibition of artists from FIU alumni. And this past year, I got a studio up north in the Catskills, and I'm expanding to the Kingston and Woodstock areas and have joined art associations up there. And that's a painting I did of the Hudson area. Apply for grants to help with residency expenses. They are not cheap. Each residency, depending on location and airfare, costs between maybe $1,500, $2,000. They give you a place to stay, yes, but you have to buy groceries and get yourself there and rent a car, and all those things add up. So I have applied. I'm waiting for a grant right now. I applied for a residency in New Mexico, which I didn't take because of COVID, but it's kind of suspended. And I contacted them and they want me to come out there. And I applied for a grant through Miami-Dade County. And hopefully they have different grant programs for the artist access grants, professional grants, individual grants for artists. And I'm waiting to get a $5,000 grant. It's possible. The National Endowment for the Humanities have classes for teachers during the summer. Travel, COVID kind of cut those out too, but I was awarded an endowment through their agency and went to Crow Canyon and studied at Mesa Verde National Park archaeology. Sketchbooks are great. I tend to use my phone more just to take images, but this trip was not a painting trip, so I did a lot of sketches and small pastels. I retired in 2015 and I treated myself a trip to Italy with a friend. So sometimes if I'm on a boat, and this is on a residency in Wyoming, I'll bring a sketchbook in watercolors. I'm not a watercolorist, but I tend to use them more like oils. I'm kind of heavy-handed with them. But this is, it's Wyoming, it was the Wyoming-Montana border up there. It was a wonderful place. And using your phone more, I think happens to all of us now. We just use it more and more to do different things. A lot of people aren't aware that if you have an iPhone, you have iCloud storage. I think they give you 50 gigs to start out for free. I have a larger package. I think it's 200 and I pay $2.99 a month. But I am able to store this presentation, for example, is on my phone and can be accessed from anywhere. So if I don't bring my laptop or it crashes while I'm at a residency, I will have access to all. You can store images, you can store your photographs, your resume, your bio, have everything ready. So if someone asks you, you are ready. You are residency ready. And where do you find that? On your phone. It's in settings and you just click on your name and you click on iCloud, and sometimes you can just ask Siri and open your files. Say, Siri, open files, and you'll get to iCloud. I travel with furniture. That probably a lot of people might not do this, but I send stuff in advance. And you paint in the locations that the rangers tell you. This was one of the rangers' favorite spots, and I painted there in Acadia. Here it is, bracing. This is the old slide of the old photo app on an iPhone, but instead of doing a sketch, I'll do I'll capture an image and crop it and adjust it, you know, the saturation, and change it to black and white to see the values. And so I'll get a good idea very quickly without drawing it, and get a good composition. Experiment with new formats. I had a carpenter build me a folding screen, and it was incorporated in an Audubon exhibit at History of Miami, and I was very proud and had my 15 minutes of fame exhibiting with Audubon. And the national parks have exhibited this at several locations. Don't let personal obstacles get in the way. There are no excuses. My late husband passed in 2007, and a week later, I was at the Deering Estate doing a residency, and it really helped me to heal. Art is a wonderful, wonderful medicine for all of us, and helps us get through really bad moments. So look locally to see what places offer residencies for you. This was not where a residency where I stayed and slept. So it was close to my home. I just drove back and forth, the Deering Estate. Sometimes you work on projects with your students and it ends up being part of your art expression. So this was an exhibition in Sarasota, Florida, around the time where my husband passed. So it was kind of an important moment for me. It was an image taken from a field day of my students. I think having work proposals appropriate for all ages that will work anywhere, because with a residency, sometimes you have to do a presentation. Now it could be a lesson, and you would have to write a lesson plan that would be great for all ages. And if you're not a teacher and you're not good at presenting your work, then you might just do a presentation like this, you know, a Zoom presentation or keynote or PowerPoint. Join art societies and study with new artists, learn new techniques, and explore new relationships, cities, environments, and exhibit your work continually. That's the most, I think that's the most important thing. You got to get yourself out there at colleges and galleries, libraries, societies, restaurants, fairs, virtual exhibitions, and constant research to find those places for your work. I've had exhibits at Broward College, FIU. I was researching and found an artist that I did some work with when I was working in an elementary school, Xavier Cordata, and he kind of like our careers paralleled in that we touched in environmental issues with our work. And I did my very first internet project with him and my students. And he now is a resident artist at Pinecrest Gardens and invited me to have an exhibition. It was my first retrospective exhibition. And because I networked and researched and found him and known him for so many years now, he invited me. And perhaps I might have a residency as a result of this. So I think those connections, and they take a while, you know, this is 20 years. Look for opportunities in your city, county, and state. The Florida the Florida Alliance for Arts Education and the Hermitage Artist Retreat paired together and offered a residency at the Hermitage, which is on the west coast of Florida near Inglewood. It's on Manasota Key, and it's a complex of several buildings. And in this slide, you'll see my studio, and below is a pastel that I was working on the beach from the studio. And I was there for 3 weeks. It's open to Florida teachers who are artists in all genres, musicians as well as writers and dancers. And this way, if there's a hurricane, they can send the teacher's home, the artist's home, because it's open to international artists, and that would be difficult for someone to leave during hurricane season. I had a show at the Capitol, International Waters, and that was after I did my first show at Biscayne. And then I got offered another show, and up in the Capitol Gallery, which is probably the nicest gallery that I've ever exhibited in. It's in the Florida Capitol. And somebody from Disney saw my work, a horticulturist, and invited me to Epcot's Flower and Garden Festival, Art in the Garden Weekend. And I spent 10 years doing that show and bringing my artwork and sharing with the public. And then Disney changed it, and they made an arts festival, an international arts festival, and they no longer invited outside artists. They use Disney artists only. Collaborate with colleagues using social media, like and share. That's very important. A lot of people like, and they're on Facebook and they like everything, but they don't share it. It's important to share. And if you have a friend who's an artist, share their work. Create I think it's good to create a separate page for your artwork and keep your private life separate. Tapping into your friends and family skills is important. You can work with anyone who has more tech skills than you and help you with your website. My daughter's a graphic designer. She helped me with my logo, and here we are at Disney. Apply for programs. Art in the Embassy program. I was amazed. I submitted my work. Years later, they contacted me, and my work ended up in the American Embassy in Niamey in Niger for 3 years. It was on loan, which is really great because it looks really good when you see you're listed on Google in the U.S. Department of State collection. That's very important. You never know where or who will see your exhibit someplace. So try to find those good places. As a recertification, I went to the Wild Acres retreat in North Carolina. It was through the Ringling School of Art. They had a codependent program, and on their website, I just snapped this, did a screenshot, and I saw they had an image of the exact place where I painted, and this is the painting. So I was there in 2008 as a student, and I saw they had a residency program, and I said, one day I'm going to do a residency there, and I actually got one. It was later, but a wonderful time spent. Think international. If you're not comfortable in a place where they don't speak your language, try a place like Ireland. I did that at the Tyrone Guthrie Center. I was there in 2012. And the good thing about this center is that they ask you back. Once you're a fellow there, I can go back to Ireland anytime I want. And it's a paid residency, but it's very minimal. So I could go back to Ireland, which would be great. Take advantage of your local universities. They have study abroad programs. In 2005, I went to Mont Saint-Michel, and I was there in 2001. I went 2 different times and had a wonderful time with Professor Chang at FIU. The National Education Association, the foundation gave me a grant, and I went to China again with Professor Chang, and I incorporated it in my curriculum. Here I am in South China Sea. My daughter was in the arts in high school, and I was a resident artist for her high school program, and we traveled to Italy. We also traveled to France. I was in Provence for 6 weeks, 2 different summers, and in 2007, I was in Italy. Don't be afraid to Zoom. It's global. You'll get yourself out there. It's a wonderful communication tool and a way to share your artwork. in these horrible times of COVID. And that's why I'm here. I'm not really a good public speaker. Edward Hopper said, if I could say it in words, there'd be no reason to paint. So I paint a whole lot better than I speak, but I'm here to Zoom for you today. And one needs to incorporate their passion into lifetime plans. And this has been a 20-year journey for me. Create and teach what excites you. It's contagious. So here's a picture. I retired, like I said, in 2015, but this is an award-winning artist with his key tree cactus that we studied about in conjunction with Fairchild Tropical Gardens. And this is my painting. So I inspired them and they inspired me, which is a wonderful way to have things reciprocate. And I'm hoping that my talk has helped you and maybe you are a little bit more ready. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat. That was a great presentation. Are there any questions that you would like to ask? You can post them on the chat and I can relay them. From Mandy Tillery to everyone, thank you, Pat.
Thank you. I'm sorry, what was the question? I didn't hear.
It was a thank you from Mindy
Oh,
Tillery.
thank you from Mindy. Thank you for watching, Mindy. Thank you.
Do we have any others who would like to, from Nancy Dillon to everyone, ask Pat to stop share? Is that what that is?
Yep.
Oh, stop
Is that the
sharing.
message to me?
To anybody that can listen to you.
Okay.
Did I stop share? Or where is it?
Things
Okay.
on the
Jim
bottom.
Swallow says
Just
great
turn
job.
this on. I'll just close that screen. There we go.
That's it.
All right.
Good.
Sorry.
Did you get the message that Jim Swallow said great job?
Oh, thank you.
Well, if there's nothing else, on behalf of the Florida Artist Group, thank you for joining us for Are You Residency Ready? We hope you have enjoyed this live presentation. A link to this video recording will be sent to you in the next few days. At the end of the session, a short survey will be sent, and we hope that you will all reply to that. There are still some openings with future programs. I think there are 3 that are left. So review our roster of events and register by visiting floridaartistgroup.org. And I think this ends our program. And thank you so much, Pat.
Thank you.
Fabulous.